Hello, check, check. How is my sound? Live chat. How are you, invisible people? Oh no, let me just see what we can do while we're waiting for people to come in. Let me see if I can get that red one in there. How does this go? I don't know. This is what I mean when I say if I touch anything, I am screwed. Let's see. I think it's almost viable. I think that the orange needs to go that way. A smidge and a half, still that way. Am I going the wrong way with it? I am. I need to come towards me. See, it's all backwards. Hello, who's here? As I'm getting my chakra tower aligned. I think that's pretty good. Let's see. I can maybe move the red just a smidge or not. You know that whole thing, like quit while you're ahead, right? Okay. Let's try to do that. Let's try to quit while we're ahead. I think this needs to come towards me. Okay. I think that's good. Maybe just a little bit more. I'm leaving it. I'm not touching it no more. Anna Bees is my friend, girlfriend. How are you? I'm so happy to be on so late at night, and I'm so happy to see you. It's me, LOL. Sound all right? My red was not in my tower, so you guys got to see me sweat it out. And luckily, I didn't knock it over. I've literally knocked over. It's like a domino effect. If you knock one over, they kind of all fall over, and they're all glass. So I don't know how none of them have broken, but I guess because they're like bowling balls, basically they're solid glass. I'm at work, but I have a few minutes while I'm chatting. Awesome. So I've got my water. I've got a lot I want to talk about. I was going to fill you in on while I'm charting. I said chatting. Yeah, I gotcha. Charting is always good, as is chatting as well. I was going to fill you in on my diagnosis, but let's run down the things we're going to discuss. In addition to my medical status, I think I'm doing better. It's a little late at night, so, I'm pushing it. Histamines are all wackadoodle. Okay, now you're okay. Oh, frozen. Dang it. I'm glad that I'm okay. I wanted to talk about things that will not get me frozen. So we're not going to talk about the Trumpster Fire at all, because nobody should be talking about him, because he's completely awesome and deserves no criticism from anyone. King of the world, king of the universe, and I'm sure he's got his trolls out. So the Canadian Prime Minister made an indictment for him tonight. I was very happy to check that out. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kim, his ex-daughter-in-law that he may or may not have had an affair with. And we're going to talk about the Election Truth Alliance and the manipulation of the election in November. We're going to talk about who's the sharpest bulb. Did you hear this one, Anna Bees? Trumpster Fire was talking about his favorite frenemy, Biden, and he said he's not the sharpest bulb. Did you hear that one yet? The man is losing it. He is so out of control. in the same speech, he was talking about celebrating World War I. And he did this Archie Bunker thing. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Remember Archie Bunker used to do that? It was so annoying. So we cannot allow this spin. So my diagnosis. Oh, and everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube and it's an entertainment platform. Please hit your like button if you don't mind. Something stuck to it. And then I won't have to drop it and break it. I've broken it a few times. I've had to glue it back together. And then where's that thing over here? Make sure you're still subscribed and share and notify, blah, blah, blah. So I got the new set. I got the new comfy chair. We're getting it going on. I think I like it like this. It's kind of a balance of like the strip down and all the funky stuff. So I'm going to try to not touch anything. I'm going to try to make this my new set for a while. You know, and then I think, oh, I should put something interesting right here. And it's like, no, it's okay to have some empty space. Like the eyes need a rest, right? Where are you going to rest your gaze? Rest it over here or up here, anywhere in these black parts. Or I'm usually wearing black, so you can rest your gaze on me. You didn't hear it, Annabise? OMG. He was giving a speech. I think it was the one at the Kennedy Center, but no. It was the one at Fort Bragg. So he screened the soldiers that could attend his speech at Fort Bragg, and they literally sent out an email saying, no fat soldiers. Mother fucker. I'm just going to say it. Especially that fat ass. Like, are you fucking kidding me? These are soldiers that are putting their lives on the line for our country, and you're going to body shame them? How dare that man? I say off with his head. Off with his head. I better like make sure that I'm being joking, right? I mean, I would say that about Koberger when he allegedly told that girl that he went on the Tinder date with that she had good birthing hips. I'm like, let him fry. Send him straight to the execution. Firing squad. No jury, no trial, just done. No, you don't tell a woman that you went on a date with that she has good birthing hips, and you don't discriminate against people that are larger, especially when you're the fattest MF ever. Do you like the bags under his eyes, Annabise? Like they're like pillows. They just keep getting bigger and bigger. Okay, so the other screening that they did with their Fort Bragg audience, it was this highly controlled street theater, more street theater. They screened out all of the people that have different opinions that might not agree with Trump. If you had different opinions about anything, then again, off with your head. Oh, he's so very progressive. No. I know you're not talking about Trump unless you're being sarcastic, but let me catch up. I don't remember Archie Bunker doing that. Ay. I'm pretty sure it was him. And we could probably Google it. The actor was not anything like Archie. Right. Carol O'Connor. Love him. He lived in Malibu and he was extremely well loved, and he was zero like Archie Bunker. That character was made to show people how bigots suck. Like straight up. Hello, Michelle Vokey. Hello from Nova Scotia. Nice to see you. I think I recognize your name from long ago. Welcome. Nova Scotia. Oh, it's so beautiful up there. So, yeah, the Canadian Prime Minister read an indictment of the Trumpster Fire, and it was phenomenal. He nailed it. And it almost sounds like other countries are ready to come to the rescue of Los Angeles. But no, nobody needs to blow that up. I mean, it's not as big as they're trying to make it out to be. And then they're going to do their thing with their parade on Saturday, the birthday party for the birthday boy. Big boy's going to be 79, and he's almost out of diapers. Oh, how did we get here, Annabise? How on earth did we get here? No fat soldiers. That's insane. He is an MFR. Yeah, I know. It just makes my head want to explode. Like, really? Donnie, have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror? You are not the guy. You don't have the body of the memes that you create of yourself with the ripped six-pack abs and throwing thunder like Zeus and okay, enough of that. He's just such a freaking attention whore. This is what he wants. He wants us to keep talking about him. He wants to be the topic of conversation. Holy crap. Could anybody be more needy? That is like the weakest ego structure imaginable. It's called a porous ego structure, to need that kind of validation from other people constantly. And Melania was hanging out with him at the Kennedy Center. She was not happy at all. I mean, first of all, she had to see him and hang out with him, so why would she be? He has to go. Well, he's taking himself down, and, you know, thank goodness. Like, I really think that the election was stolen. There's so many reasons to think that, but I'm going to read to you a report from the Election Truth Alliance that they just put out on their Substack. Yeah, so getting Kim Guilfoyle, Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, out of the way. She was married to Gavin, I think, from 2001 to about 2006. And then she started interacting with the Trumps around 2007, maybe 2008. And then she became engaged to Don Jr. after she was hired, I think, by the Trump cabinet or the campaign or something for the 2020 election. So yeah, then they were engaged, I think, from somewhere around 2020 until maybe 2023, 2024. Anyway, Don Jr. was cheating on her with some blonde chick, and she may have been cheating on him with his father, allegedly, in my humble conspiracy theory opinion, possibly. Word on the street. And we do know for a fact that Vanessa Trump, Don Jr.'s ex-wife, met him through his dad when she was dating Don Sr. These people are so gross. Anyway, my point is that Kimberly got shipped off to be the ambassador of Greece with this new cabinet. And, you know, that might sound very romantic and cool to somebody like me that doesn't know much about politics, but apparently being the ambassador of Greece is sort of like being the ambassador of your toilet. You know, it's like, it's for losers. But it gets her away from this situation so that Trumpster Fire can have a sword fight with his freaking member, with Gavin Newsom, because you know that that's what this whole thing is all about. And now I'm starting to think he's the one who set those fires in the freaking Pacific Palisades. No joke. I mean, not him with his own bare hands, but you know what I mean. With his Jewish space lasers or something. Those Pacific Palisades fires were very sus. And then he made a comment a day or two ago about how, if not for him sending in the National Guard and the Marines, that California, Los Angeles would be on fire again, just like it was a few months ago. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. So let me slow down for a second. That is so gross. Isn't it disgusting? Yeah. So Vanessa is now screwing Tiger Woods. You know, she divorced Don Jr. She's done with the Trumps. I mean, Tiger's probably got more money than them anyway, because all their money is freaking meme coins, like Monopoly money. Oh, freaking A. So all this crazy crap. I think how we got here, to answer my own question, is Putin. I think Putin's behind it all. You know that with the 200 bomb threats on election day, that those were all emails originating from Russia. 200 bomb threats. Yeah, not sus at all. And I didn't look up that sheriff that I was talking about earlier today, John somebody, from sheriff's deputy from West Palm Beach. One second. John Brennan, something like that. West. Oh, here, let me do my thing with my speaker. West Palm Beach, Florida, sheriff's deputy, asylum in Russia. West Palm Beach, Florida. Sheriff's deputy, asylum in Russia. John Mark Dugan, a former deputy sheriff in Palm Beach County, Florida, sent voters an email posing. This is recent. In 2016, Russia used an army of trolls to interfere with the U.S. presidential election. This is an article from the New York Times. This year, an American given asylum in Moscow may be accomplishing much the same thing all by himself. A dozen years ago, John Mark Dugan, a former deputy sheriff in Palm Beach County, Florida, which is where Mar-a-Lago is and where Epstein did a lot of his crimes, sent voters an email posing as a county commissioner, urging them to oppose the re-election of the county's sheriff. He later masqueraded online as a Russian tech worker with a pseudonym, Bad Wolf, to leak confidential information in violation of state law, fooling officials in Florida who thought they were dealing with a foreigner. He had 150 fake bot troll accounts and used them all to interfere with this 2024 election. John Mark Dugan. He also posed as a fictional New York City heiress he called Jessica, tricking an advisor to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office into divulging improper conduct by the department. And boy, did he ever spill all the beans, Mr. Dugan said in a written response to questions for this article, in which he confirmed his role in these episodes. This is crazy. I've never seen this article. This is just what came up at the very top thing with my Google. Did I already read this one? And boy, did he ever spill all the beans. Yeah, I said that one. Okay. The subterfuges in the U.S., it turned out, were only a prelude to a more prominent and potentially more ominous campaign of deception he has been conducting from Russia. Mr. Dugin, 51, who received political asylum in Moscow, is now a key player in Russia's disinformation operations against the West. Back in 2016, when the Kremlin interfered in the American presidential election, an army of computer trolls toiled for hours in an office building in St. Petersburg to try to fool Americans online. Yeah, I remember that. They would just like dive bomb into community like discussion groups on Facebook, just like they do now, I'm sure. I mean, I'm not on Facebook anymore, but they fall into the chat and fall into your comments. Obviously, they're paid operatives. Give me a break. Or they're just, I don't know. Today, Mr. Dugin may be accomplishing much the same task largely by himself, according to American and European government officials and researchers from companies and organizations that have tracked his activities since August. The groups include NewsGuard, a company that reviews the reliability of news and information online, Recorded Future, a threat intelligence company, and Clemson University's Media Forensics Hub. I'm going to read a little bit more of this. Working from an apartment crowded with servers and other computer equipment, Mr. Dugin has built an ever-growing network of more than 160 fake websites that mimic news outlets in the United States, Britain, and France. Yeah, I see those on YouTube. They're annoying AF, are they not? With the help of commercially available artificial intelligence tools, including OpenAI's ChatGPT and DALL-E3, he has filled the sites with tens of thousands of articles, many based on actual news events. What a whack. Like, what? He must be in trouble with Putin, and so he has to do this so that Putin doesn't, give him the axe. The fact that he's threatening journalists and students, it's all so terrible and sickening the military on protest and sicking the military on protesters that aren't being violent. I know, it's insane. It's hideous and it's backfiring. A lot of people on YouTube are trying to teach everyone that's going to these protests to know how to de-escalate and not engage and know your rights and all that stuff. So that's really great that people are doing that. And hopefully nobody will get hurt. I'm not the only one who's brought up the Kent State. We don't need a repeat of anything like that. And it seems like that's exactly what Trumpster Fire is going for. Remember when he was talking about what a great guy Nixon was? Nixon was the one who ordered those National Guardsmen to attack the college protesters that were just having a nice little peaceful protest. And those National Guardsmen, I believe, were all students at Kent State, and they were seriously undertrained and were in way over their head. And Nixon screwed everyone. I mean, that not only killed the spirit of our country at the time, it was international. I mean, that was just freaking crazy. And that's exactly, I think, what Trump is not only trying to recreate, but he's trying to outdo. Like that on steroids. He's a sick, crazy lunatic. And why they haven't put him in a straitjacket yet is beyond me. He's not the sharpest bulb or the brightest tool. He's definitely a tool, though, right? Okay. Interspersed among the actual news events are also bespoke fabrications that officials in the United States and European Union have attributed to Russian intelligence agencies or the administration of President Vladimir Putin. Between September and May, Mr. Dugan's outlets have cited or referred to in news articles or social media posts nearly 8,000 times. What a nut. And seen by more than 37 million people in 16 languages, according to a report released Wednesday by NewsGuard. The fakes have recently included a baseless article on a fake San Francisco Chronicle website that said Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, had smuggled 300 kilograms of cocaine from Argentina. Now, I'm pretty sure that would be Don Jr., right? Another false narrative appeared last month in the Sham Chronicle and on another site called the Boston Times, claiming that the CIA was working with Ukrainians to undermine Donald J. Trump's presidential campaign. The man is just self-obsessed. Okay. Mr. Dugan, in a series of text exchanges and one telephone interview with the New York Times, denied operating the sites. A digital trail of clues, including web domains and internet protocol addresses, suggests otherwise, the officials and researchers say. I wonder if he was the one who did the 200 bomb threats. I bet he was. A friend in Florida who has known Mr. Dugan for 20 years, Jose Lambiet, also said in a telephone interview that Mr. Dugan told him in January that he had created the sites. Stephen Brill, a founder of NewsGuard, which has spent months tracking Mr. Dugan's work, said he represented a massive incursion into the American news ecosystem. It's not just some guy sitting in his basement in New Jersey tapping out a phony website, he added. This is a long article. I'm going to have to stop before I pass out. The fact that he's threatening... okay, I read that one. But this is really good. I want to keep reading it until I do pass out, right? Mr. Dugan's emergence as a weapon of the Kremlin's propaganda war follows a troubled life in the United States that included home foreclosures and bankruptcy. As a law enforcement officer in Florida and Maine, he faced accusations of excessive use of force. And sexual harassment that resulted in costly lawsuits against the departments he worked for. What a freak. Okay. Not surprising. He faces an arrest warrant in Florida. Its records sealed by court order on 21 felony charges of extortion and wiretapping that resulted from a long-running feud with the sheriff of Palm Beach County. Mr. Dugan's activities from Moscow. I mean, what a man, you know. He's probably white. He's a dude. He's given an opportunity to have a gun and a badge and, you know, to help keep the peace and protect people. And this is what he does with it. He gets himself in such a stew that he's banished to be Putin's stooge. He really shot himself in the foot. Is an understatement. What a jerk. Mr. Dugan's activities from Moscow, where he fled in 2016, one step ahead of those charges, continue to draw scrutiny from authorities in the U.S. Last year, he just can't stop. He's like the Trumpster Fire himself. I mean, these people are just addicted to the insanity. Last year, he impersonated an FBI agent in a telephone call to Mr. Brill, according to an account by Mr. Brill to be published next week in a new book, The Death of Truth. Mr. Dugan, who acknowledged making the call in a text message this week, had been angered by a NewsGuard report in February 2023 that criticized YouTube for allowing videos parroting Russian propaganda about the war in Ukraine, including some by Mr. Dugan. Yeah, YouTube is like totally screwing up. Seriously. YouTube, you can do better. I know you can do better. Are you feeling any better? Yeah, I wanted to share that with you. I have been feeling a lot better today, but I saw another doctor. I saw my chiropractor yesterday, and she had a different opinion than my primary care physician, and hers felt like it resonated. She thinks that my gut situation is a histamine response to the worst allergies that I've had this year, and that it did all that screwing up. And I think she's right, because I do think it's resolving. So, and my other doctor didn't call me with any bad news about my blood test results. So, fingers crossed, it's passing through me. So, yeah, I think I just got like what she said was a histamine response in my gut. Have you heard of this, Annabise? So I'm not 100%, but I have been able to go for walks every day, which is huge. I still haven't been doing my yoga for like a week. So once I'm back to doing that, then I know I'm all better. But I probably needed a break from that anyway, man. I've been overdoing it because I just can't not overdo things. It's my own addiction. In a thank you for asking, my dear. So are you familiar with that? The gut, like intestinal problems from a histamine response? In a rambling, profanity-laced video in response on YouTube last year, Mr. Dugan posted excerpts from the call with Mr. Brill and showed a Google Earth satellite photograph of his home in Westchester County, a suburb of New York City, just down the road from the Clinton family, as Mr. Dugan put it, referring to the home of former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton. The call prompted an FBI investigation that, according to Mr. Brill, traced the call to Mr. Dugan's telephone in Russia. A spokeswoman for the Bureau did not respond to a request for comment on the investigation or Mr. Dugan's previous activities. I don't know if you'll be able to see this picture of him. Yeah, he is a white dude. Shocking. Surprise, surprise. You can almost kind of see it. I'll put a link to this article in the description of the video. Oh, what a pig. It's dudes like him that give law enforcement such a bad reputation. Oh, that totally makes sense. Oh, really, Annabise? I was excited to run it by you because although it didn't really make sense to me, like I said, it resonated. Like when she said it, I was like, yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what it is. Yes, I have heard of that. So that's why I said it makes sense. Wow. You're amazing. Seriously. So yeah, she gave me some remedies. She didn't give them to me. I had to pay big bucks for them. So Thorn, I know that's a really good line of vitamins and stuff. This is called like, phytosum, quercetin, phytosum. Have you heard of this, Annabise? Quercetin, and then phytosome. So I take 2 of those on a full stomach a day, and then I take 2 of these on an empty stomach a day. This one is called Total Leaky Gut. And the brand is NutraWest. So, yeah. Vitamin C and zinc. Proprietary blend. Is that all it is? Vitamin C and zinc. No, it's got slippery elm, glutamine, glycosamine, ginkgo, licorice root, artichoke, cat's claw, alpha lipo acid, ginkgo again, extract leaf, lactoacidophilus, and bifid. I can't say this, but it's like the I know what it is. It's the probiotics. It's Bifidobacterium bifidum. Well, cool. Other ingredients, I won't bother reading those to you, but that is fascinating to me. I hadn't looked at the ingredients. I trust her. She's so good. So glad that I saw her yesterday. I thought, I'm so uncomfortable, and I just figured she could help me. And then I won't read you all the ingredients in this one unless you really want me to, if you beg. But I've never heard of this stuff. It's a flower extract and a complex from sunflower. Interesting. Yeah, a complex from sunflower and some other kind of flower extract. Very cool. That's the quercetin phytosome. Okay, enough of my medical crap. Let's get back on. Oh, yay, that'll help with my digestion. Well, and I'd been thinking that even before I got this illness, that I know a lot of people take probiotics, and I was thinking, I should probably do that. So now I will. I'll make it part of my lifestyle for sure, because I don't want to be feeling like it's crazy, the cascade effect of just like having allergies and then taking Sudafed. And, the Sudafed messed me up before because it dried out my eardrums, and then it got my vertigo going. And it's just like crazy how things just fall apart just one after another, right? I'm sure you see that in the hospital every day with your patients. Okay, so yeah, I think that's probably enough of that article about that douchebag. Let's see. I'll read just a little bit more because I might be close to done with it anyway. And it's really good, isn't it? It's fascinating. Mr. Dugan began to hone the skills that he is putting to use today during a turbulent childhood in the U.S. Yeah, you think he just didn't get enough love from his mommy and daddy? I think that's Donnie's problem. I think that's Elon's problem. I mean, that's a lot of our problems, right? Stems from that. But we try to work them out without taking it out on the world. In the written responses to questions for this article, he said he had struggled at home and in school, bullied because of Tourette's syndrome, but found a passion in computers. And I bet it was Trumpster Fire that bullied him, right? When he was 8, he said the man who would become his stepfather began teaching him to write computer code. By the time I was 16, he wrote in one response, I knew a dozen different programming languages. After a four-year stint in the Marine Corps, which he claims he offered to join in lieu of a jail sentence for fleeing a police stop for speeding on a motorcycle. Who the F does that? He was probably high or drunk. Like, why would you flee from a police stop unless you have rugs in your system or on your person? What a punk. What a punk. A 4-year stint in the Marine Corps, which he claims he offered to join in lieu of a jail sentence for fleeing a police stop for speeding on a motorcycle. That's insane. He became a police officer first in a small force in Magnolia Park, Florida,
and then the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office from 2005 to 2009. Pepsid decreases histamine. Yeah, I've been doing the Pepsid, and actually I'm probably due for another one. So I think I take one of those every 8 hours. Thank you for the advice. I remember cat's claw was good for allergies. We give Pepsid when people are having an allergic reaction. It's always good to get a second opinion. I know. And see, I love my primary care physician so much that I was just like, I don't need a second opinion. But yeah, you always need a second opinion, right? Always, always, always. Let's see. According to news reports and his own account over the years, Mr. Dugan repeatedly clashed with superiors and colleagues. Oh, you think? I couldn't have guessed that, which brings to mind a problem that I have with El Presidente. The way he goes through people like toilet paper, like social skills are hard, relationships are hard, they take work. You're going to have ups and downs, you're going to have clashes. The way you resolve those conflicts is what defines the character of the relationship. That's how you grow interpersonally and in the relationship that you're having the clashing with. Okay, let's see. Facing numerous internal investigations that he said were retaliatory because he objected to police misconduct, including instances of racial bias. So that's interesting because those things do happen in police departments, where they basically eat their young. They do retaliatory investigations just to put the screws to people if they're not down with the corruption, maybe. I don't know, just a guess. In 2009, he moved briefly to Windham, Maine to work in another small town police department. There he faced a complaint of sexual harassment that resulted in his dismissal before he completed his probationary period. Mr. Dugan started a website called Wyndham Talk to defend himself. The website foreshadowed others he would create, including one devoted to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. After moving back to Florida, he used that platform to torment, in particular, the department's elected sheriff, Rick L. Bradshaw. It's reminding me of the situation in Kentucky with that sheriff that Mickey, I can't remember Mickey's last name right now, that shot, is it Mickey Steins? And the judge, I can see his face. I think it's Sheriff Mickey Steins and Judge Kevin something. Does it start with an F? Maybe I'll look it up. Anyway, maybe it'll come to me. Okay, so elected Sheriff Rick Bradshaw, with whom he accused of corruption. Oh, it's bugging me now, that judge that was shot by Sheriff Mickey Steins. Kevin, okay. Former detective commander Mark Lewis, who Mr. Dugan claimed, blah, 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 blah. Okay, maybe I'll stop reading this because it is long. And maybe like I said, I'll put the link to it in the description because it is a really good article, but man, it's long. 103 new sites in 2 days. Oh, and he became a Russian citizen last year and voted in the presidential election. Like, why bother to vote? Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Okay, I would hate to say that about our country. Why bother to vote? That's hilarious. Why would you waste your time? That's so silly. Okay, but yeah, this is super long. So I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to look up that judge because you know how it's bothering me. Sheriff Mickey Steins. Shot. I forget that I can use my voice to text thing. Shot Judge Kevin Mullins. Kevin Mullins. See, that's all I have to do is type it in and then the brain turns back on. Oh, that freaking cracks me up. And I want to prove that I didn't type it all the way in. I literally typed Sheriff Mickey Steins, shot Judge, and all I had was the K. And then I'm like, Kevin Mullins. Okay, that's too funny. I'm not kidding you. Like, I would be a good candidate for the Neuralink. I would never do something like that, though. The body is a sacred temple. You don't mess with it. You don't cut into it if you don't have to. It's gross. Okay, so I was going to go to that thing about the election fraud. Where is it? The Election Truth Alliance. Oh, and they have a new video. It says view channel. Now I think I've seen all their latest videos. Their latest video is like 3 weeks old, unless it's a short or a live. Yeah, maybe it's a live. No, that was 7 days ago. I think I saw that one. I keep up with them. I really like their channel and the work that they're doing. So this is the Substack post. That these patterns aren't consistent with a free and fair election. The patterns observed in Pennsylvania are not typical of normal electoral behavior and suggest the presence of statistical fingerprints consistent with manipulation or error. So they're not accusing anybody of anything. They're just stating the facts as they see them. And I'll put a link to the Substack here. I won't read it because my voice is tired and you guys are probably tired of listening to me read. Let's just talk. Okay, but I'm just going to read the little bit. This is the new Substack post. World-renowned election forensics expert Dr. Walter Membane Jr., using his own independent analysis methodology, has produced findings from the 2024 U.S. general election that parallel findings of election manipulation in other countries. These findings call for further investigations and audits to verify the vote. Read more here, and there's the article that is really good. I was going to read you that article. That was my plan before I came on to the live, but since I spent so much time reading you that other article, I won't double up. I'll just put the links in the description to both of the articles. What was I going to look up? There was one other thing, but let me just set my phone down and then my brain will just like turn off once I'm not touching it anymore. I just lost money in the vending machine. Dang it. I hate it when that happens. I really do. I lost a $10 bill in a car wash machine just a few weeks ago, and I kept forgetting to call the number. You know, I took a picture of the phone number to call, and it was like 2 or 3 days later, and I finally remembered to call. The guy like literally drove to my house and put $10 in my mailbox. That was so cool. I was so happy that I remembered to call him, and I was so happy that, like, I mean, literally, like, immediately. He just lived like probably 15 minutes away, and he literally jumped in his car and came right over. I mean, he knew my husband as a police officer, and so, you know, it wasn't like just some strange guy driving over to my house. And his wife was in the background, and she was like, just go give her the money now. I thought that was really cool. And then I thought I lost a quarter in a dryer the other day because I was washing my cushions from my couch in their giant machine and then in their giant dryer. And the guy that owns the laundromat and he takes really good care of it. He's like cleaning it constantly. He was right there and I was like, oh man, I just lost a quarter in this machine. Like I feel bad even bothering you about it. But it turns out I just didn't know how to use the machine. So, but yeah, that's the worst when you lose money in a vending machine, especially when you don't bother getting it back. I had a vending machine once charge my credit card like 3 times for something that I bought one of. It was probably like $2.75 for like a tiny bag of Fritos, and it charged it 3 times, and I never got that cleared up. I've been obsessed with the Karen Read trial. Oh, tell me about it, Anna Bees. I am fascinated by the Karen Read trial, but it just is overwhelming, and I've kind of stayed out of it. You know, I've been just overwhelming myself with all this political nightmare. You know, and I yesterday, or no, when was it? Maybe the day before yesterday, that I decided that this gut problem wasn't just the gut problem, but that it was actually caused by my Trump derangement fatigue syndrome. It is nauseating. It's very toxic. And so, you know, I have to like unplug and detach, and then I just get sucked right back into it because it's like I want to keep my eye on the ball. I want to know what the F is going on. For all I know, I'm pretty sure my son is going to have to march in that freaking parade. I hadn't even asked him about that. I had asked him about it a while back, but he hadn't heard about it yet. So the first time he heard about it was from me. But yeah, he's active Navy right there in Maryland, works at the Arlington Cemetery, and he's an honor guard. So I bet you anything he's marching in that freaking parade. I just hope it stays safe. I imagine that it will. But you know, when I think about that parade, it just reminds me of like when the big events would happen, like in the Spider-Man movies. And then, you know, all the crazy happens when they're doing these big presentations. I just hope nothing like that happens. And sorry that I'm all nasally. I had taken one of my allergy meds probably like an hour before I came on, so I thought that it would have kicked in already. But once you get stuffed up, you're stuffed up, huh? I didn't want to jinx her, so I don't want to say anything. Okay. Is it getting close to wrapping up? Is it going to the jury yet? Because, yeah, it was pretty wild that it was a hung jury before it was a mistrial or something like that. Because, yeah, usually when the police want to frame you for something, they got you. There's no way out. And she's clever enough that she might get away from the... I mean, it seems like trumped up charges, you know. It seems like a setup. I hope your son doesn't have to. Well, I'm imagining that he will, but I don't know. I'll ask him. I'll definitely ask him. Because, yeah, that's just like today's Wednesday. So it's like 3 days from now. So they're doing these No King's Day parade or protests nationwide. And that's what Donnie is freaking out about. That's what Melania was freaking out about too. Is like he is just so upset that people are in opposition to him being the dictator that he wants to be. I mean, even people in his closest circle, I think, are realizing how freaking ridiculous the whole thing is. So it seems. But so far, Elon has done nothing but apologize for getting out of line with his very astute, threatening posts about the election and about the e-files. So I relish Annabes, and I would think that you might too. You probably heard me say this in one of my more recent videos. I relish in knowing the intense anxiety that Donnie must be experiencing moment to moment right now. Just knowing that Elon, at the drop of a hat, the blink of an eye, could be posting anything, blowing up his world forever and ever. And he wouldn't know it until a few minutes after it got posted. So it's nice to know that he's suffering, because he's created so much suffering for so many people. It's just atrocious. So I have my feet up on my yoga ball, and this is kind of a cool setup in the big comfy chair with the yoga ball and the less is more decor, but still the chakra tower, the ever important chakra tower. And then what else is the super important? Just like the Statue of Liberty and the A to Z, that's like the most important. And then of course this guy, what you got? Brando, baby. Brando's important. And then you can't really see over here. No, I think it's too high up. Above the Golden Gate Bridge is Brian Jones. Here, I can show you. You know who Brian Jones is, don't you? Let me see if I can show it to you without knocking stuff over. There, can you see Brian Jones above the Golden Gate Bridge? He's kind of dark. See him? He's got the funny bowl cut hair. There he is. There's Brian Jones. Let's leave it like that. Now we've got Brian Jones joining in on the action, and then tilted like that. Hey, Brian, what's up? So I got Brian and I got Brando, man. They're badass mofos. Yes, they'll probably wrap up tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. The Karen Reed trial, they're going to wrap it up tomorrow. And then tomorrow's Thursday. And what do you want to bet that the jury is going to try so hard to be done deliberating before the weekend? But I don't know if... Do you think they'll be able to wrap up their verdict before the weekend, Annabes, if they wrap up the trial tomorrow? Because, yeah, I mean, they could deliberate for an hour or a day or the whole weekend. But usually juries want so badly to get out of there for the weekend, so they typically will come up with their verdict on a Friday if they can. I love your tower. Thank you. I love it too, and it's getting better and better. So, but see, that's the thing. Now that I have Brian Jones in there, we don't have the red at the bottom anymore. And I still don't have the purple at the top, but I do have a actual crystal ball up there. So that's cool. But Brian Jones is cool and the red is cool. It's so tough to decide. Can we get both? Just a hint. See, if you get a hint of the red, then Brian gets lost, and that's just not fair. The poor guy. I mean, he already got unalived by Mick. There. Okay. And then above him are Mick and Keith. And yeah, it could have been both of them. We don't know. We don't know what happened. I think they might be able to do it before the weekend. That would be wild. You don't know who he is? So Brian Jones is the guy who started the Rolling Stones. This guy. He's cute too. But he was a badass mofo and he did so many rugs. Um, he really hurt the band because he was so looped he couldn't perform, or he'd be late, or he'd forget, or whatever. But he was a creative genius. So when you listen to early Rolling Stones, because he passed away, they kicked him out of his own band in like, oh, I want to say 68 or something like that. And then he passed away, I think, in 69. And then one of his baby mamas married Donovan. Do you know the artist Donovan? He's still performing and he's still married to that baby mama of Brian Jones. So Brian Jones was kind of like Elon. He had a whole bunch of babies with a whole bunch of baby mamas. He was a total jerk. And he was a creative genius. So he formed the band. He was like the leader of the band. Him and Mick were always butting heads because they both wanted to be, you know, the alpha male. And so when you listen to early Rolling Stones music, when you hear like things like Ruby Tuesday, or I'm thinking of that song She's Like a Rainbow, where it's like you hear like little fairy music, like little notes dropped into the rock and roll. That's Brian Jones like mixing after they've recorded the song, and he would just go in there with these crazy sounds and just embellish the songs. So he was extraordinarily talented and genius. And so after he got kicked out of the band, like a year later, he wound up deceased in a swimming pool after a party. And it was like rugs and alcohol and, you know, rumors that him and Mick got into it and that Mick took him out. That's probably just embellishment of the situation. I think he died in 69. Let's see. But the early Rolling Stones, he was replaced by Mick Taylor. And actually, when Mick Taylor was in the band, I think was when they did their absolute finest work. And then Mick Taylor, I think he only lasted like 5 years because it was just too hard on him, the rock and roll lifestyle. And he continued to be a musician on his own accord, but, you know, not a Rolling Stone. Let's see, Brian Jones. Brian Jones. July 3rd, 1969. I was even going to say July. I really was, I swear. And then, yeah, he was really cute. And man, he dressed like a wild man. He wore the funniest outfits. He really was the leader of the band. Like he would wear like crazy hats and velvet blazers and big lace bell bottoms and just all wild and crazy. And then it has a list of all of his children. It's a lot of kids. Julian Mark Jones, and then Julian Jones, Julian Brian Jones, Barbara Marion, John Menard, and Mark Andrews. Those are just the kids that he knows of. He probably had a dozen or 2 dozen others that he didn't know of. He was only 5'6". And so what does it say? It says the cause of death was drowning. And it says later clarified as death by misadventure. That they could say the same thing about Kylie Rodney. They could change hers from drowning to death by misadventure. And noted his liver and heart were greatly enlarged by past drug and alcohol abuse. Mick Jagger didn't go to his funeral. What? I didn't realize that. Neither did Keith Richards, primarily due to a mix of personal and professional reasons. At the time, Jagger was dealing with the pressures of the band's rising fame and the fallout from Jones' departure from the Rolling Stones. Because, yeah, they kicked him out, and he was not happy about it. You know, it was his band. But they had to kick him out because he was dragging them. He was dragging them. And then who Donovan married? Who did, let's see. The musician Donovan, who did he marry? I think her first name is Linda. Yeah, Linda Lawrence. So they got married in 1970. So she was with Brian Jones. She had his baby. He was a jerk. And then Donovan, you might not know the band by that name. That's the Donovan Phillips Leach is the guy's full name, but his band was just called Donovan. And he was amazing. And his two most famous songs, I want to say, is it Sunshine Superman? Let's see. Season of the Witch and Sunshine Superman. Those are my two favorite songs of his. So Sunshine Superman, he wrote for Linda when they were apart, but he was basically like proposing to her, like he wanted to marry her, which is really cute because they're still together, and that was in 1970. So that was a long time ago. That was like, what, 55 years ago? And they've been together ever since. Is that so cute? And he's still making music. But what was the other thing I was going to say about that? I don't know. I love Donovan. I love those two songs so much. A lot of people know him from this other song that isn't my favorite. Like, it's called like Hurly Burly or something like that. Hurdy-gurdy man. And I think they're trying to say that Catch the Wind is his most popular song, but that's so much more recent. That's from 2003. Everybody knows Sunshine Superman, whether they know it or not. It's a 1966 song. Season of the Witch, also you probably know, and it's probably from around the same time. So I'll put links to those in the description too, because if you haven't heard them, you will thank me. And if you have heard them, you probably haven't heard them in a long time, and you'll still thank me. You remember everything. I used to have such a good memory. I have too much information in my brain. I've had too many kids. My kids are constantly like, Mom, remember this? And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I can't remember everything. I can't remember nothing. I try so hard. And it's so fun when you can remember stuff, right? I was listening to a video about Carl Jung, and it was so interesting. I'm going to find out more. I studied a lot of Carl Jung in undergraduate work. I kind of, I don't know, idolized him. I don't think it was until graduate school that I really learned too much about Freud. And Jung and Freud were probably lovers, in my opinion. I mean, like Elon and Donnie, they had a huge falling out, but I think that they had been like connected at the hip for like 7 years, and then they quit talking completely. And they said that their disagreement was over the ego and how they defined the ego, because Freud was just like sex and food. That's all we are. We're just like sharks. We're just machines that all we want to do is reproduce like bunny rabbits and eat food. That's it. That's what motivates us. And Carl Jung was like, we also have spirit. So that was what they split on. But like, why would that make you like not talk to each other when you loved each other so much, like Teletubbies? And then Carl Jung was so devastated. He was like 13 years younger than Freud. So he really idolized Freud, and they were both married to women, but it was like Italy, Vienna, and there's no gay guys in Italy. No such thing. They just all hang out at the bathhouses and do the things that guys do at the bathhouses, but they're all married and they're not gay. so so when they had their breakup, Carl Jung was kind of a basket case for, I want to say, another 7 years. I think it was 7 years that they were together. Let's see what AI says. I love this thing. Can you tell? I've heard of Donovan. I can see him in my head. Oh, I know Season of the Witch. I love that song. You got to pick up every stitch. Let's see. It's so sad about Kylie. I hope someone will tell the truth someday. OMG. Yeah, Death by Misadventure. The id. Thank you, Anna Bees. Exactly. The id. It's like idiot, right? Okay. What was I looking up? The thing about Carl Jung and Freud. Let's see. How long were Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud? How long were Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud friends for? Let's see what it says. I think it was about 7 years. It looked up the wrong Carl Jung. Jung. Let's see. Jung. Because, yeah, that's how you say it. Jung. But if I would have said Jung, it probably would have found it. Approximately 6 years. And then beginning in 1906, culminating in a break in 1912. Their initial meeting in 1907, lasting 12 hours. See, I thought it was 13 hours. Established a close bond and a collaborative professional relationship. However, growing theoretical differences, particularly regarding the nature of the unconscious and sexuality, eventually led to a deterioration and eventual severing of their friendship. See, I think there was more to the whole sexuality thing. And then, so yeah, there was like a whole book written, I'm sure many books written on the breakup. But I want to know how long it took. Let me see if this thing knows. How long did it take Carl Jung to recover from his breakup with Sigmund Freud? To recover from his breakup with Sigmund Freud. I think it typed it in correctly when I said Jung. It took Carl Jung several years to recover emotionally and professionally from his break with Sigmund Freud. Do you think it's going to take several years for Elon and Donnie? He initially withdrew from professional activities and spent time in deep contemplation, which he later referred to as the dark night of his soul. During this period, he developed many of his own unique ideas, eventually resurfacing and taking his place in the wider field of psychoanalysis, albeit distinct from Freudian mainstream. So one of the techniques that he developed during that period of darkness and sadness, because he would just like sit on the beach and just like, he was just like a vegetable. He just like couldn't function. He was completely at his wit's end. Like, sounds like he was almost self-injurious. But he would just like kind of play with the sand while he was sitting there on the beach, rotting, I guess is how you say it now, right? You just rot. But he invented sand tray technique, which is a really good therapy for little kids, where you have a sand tray and then you have like your little toys in it. And then the kids can take the toys into the sand tray and tell the story, like the dinosaur is going to eat the frog, but then the frog starts fighting back, or, whatever. It's perfect for little kids. So sand tray technique was something that Jung developed from that falling out and his aftermath of the fallout. Are you just reading? You froze up on my side of things. I think I have a poor signal here. Oh, I'm sorry, Annabese. You're so cool to be hanging with me again. It is midnight. Oh my God, we're going to turn into pumpkins. It's 12:01. So why don't we wrap up, just because my voice is getting tired and I'm going to turn into a pumpkin. So what are your hours? Do you do like a 10-hour shift? Because, yeah, my husband is working tonight. He works 12-hour shifts, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I don't like long shifts myself, but, it works for him. He likes it because he gets a lot of days off or a lot of nights off. And I like it when he works overtime because he makes bank with those 12-hour shifts. I mean, all law enforcement makes bank when they're on overtime. But Freud was a weirdo. 12 hours. Oh, you do the 12-hour shifts too? Do you do 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. or like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? Freud was a jerk. Like, Freud didn't care about humanity so much as he cared about fame and fortune. He just wanted to be famous. So he would basically tell people whatever they wanted to hear to make him popular. Like when he came out with his whole what they called the seduction theory, like the Oedipus complex and the Oedipus complex. So when patients or clients would tell him that they'd been molested by parents, he came up with this theory that some children were getting molested by their parents. So he presented that material to a group that was probably parents who molested their children, because they were so upset with him. While he was presenting, they were literally throwing food at him, telling him to shut the F up. No, that's not true. That would never happen. So he took all of his research and papers and he just like 86'd them, just like 47, 86. And then he went into this whole new phase of his work called the denial of the seduction theory. So then he said, oh, yeah, silly me, I got confused. It's really the kids who are having fantasies of wanting to seduce their parents. And that's where he came up with the Oedipus complex and the Oedipus complex. Sick bastard. Blame the victim, right? Really sick. Oh, 7 p.m. to 7:30. He would have got along with little T. Freud, well, they're both ids, right? Sex and food, sex and food, sex and food, but none of you fatties, just me fatty. Oh my goodness. Is that so offensive? Like, a lot of people with weight issues have health issues, not to mention, sometimes emotional eating too. But a lot of people that are overweight have like blood sugar issues, heart conditions, knee problems. Again, like a cascade of health problems that make it difficult, if not impossible, to lose weight or get in shape. What a jerk. Like my son that's serving, he's a big guy. He was cut when he first joined, but now he's married with kids, so he's he's kind of let himself go a little bit, but I mean, he's still like, I wonder if he would be too not cut for Trumpster Fire's requirements. What a pig. What an absolute pig. Yeah, that kid of mine, he was such a picky eater when he was little. He stayed really little for a long time, and then he just like shot up in like third or fourth grade, and then he just grew to be like a polar bear. He's huge and buff. Like, he used to lift weights all the time. He did shot put and discus and track, and he would lift weights like every day. And then doing the ceremonial guard, they're carrying caskets all day. Those things are heavy, really heavy. So he's beefy, but he's still a stud muffin. I mean, he said all males are in love with their moms and girls in love with their dads, right? And then they have fantasies of seducing them, but then they imagine those fantasies. In those fantasies, they hallucinate that their parents molested them, and then they tell their therapist, and then their therapist gets confused and thinks that they were molested by their parents, when really they were just wishing they were molested by their parents. That's what Freud did with his freaking denial of the seduction theory, and that's where I hate him. I'm like Louis Black, that comedian. He's on The Daily Show. He is a pig. He is so racist, misogynistic, and evil. Now, who are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Trumpster Fire, isn't he? And he's very controlling of the women around him. If you haven't noticed, they all have to look like Barbie dolls. They all have to have long, straight hair, and they have to wear it loose. And they have to wear like certain style of clothes. And they have to be trim, of course. Like that Susie Wiles, she's not a Barbie doll. She's got a brain, though. So he needs her. Because all the other Barbie dolls, they ain't got no brains. OMG. Christy Nome. Oh, I think it was Mary Trump, Trumpster Fire's niece. She has her own YouTube channel. And she called Caroline with a K. She called her Caroline Triple K. I thought that was great. And then Pam Bondi, and what horrible people that he surrounds himself with. Kash Patel, Pete Hegseth, that Nutlick guy, Lutnick. I like Nutlick. It's a perfect name for him. Scott Bissent. All of those people have like nothing but whipped cream between their ears, maybe a little bit of cotton candy. That's it. Just sugar. Just a bunch of fluff. That's so gross. I didn't know all that about Freud. Oh, I know. I hate him. I hate him. He is a pig. He is so racist, misogynistic, and evil. Freud was probably all that I said too. Well, the thing with both of them, really, to be straight up, Annabes, and then we can end on this, because what a perfect note to end on before my video gets cut off, is they're both, in my opinion, repressing their own homosexuality. And then, especially with Trump being so fixated on like the transgender stuff, like the whole thing, like he thinks they're spending all this money on making mice transgender. It has nothing to do with transgendering mice. Like, let's see what it is. It's a totally different thing. Here, see what they say. Transgender mice. It's transgenic mice. Okay. Transgenic. He does not understand the difference. And so AI knows what I'm talking about. It sounds like you're asking about the difference between transgenic mice and the recent controversy surrounding research involving what has been inaccurately referred to as transgender mice. How sad that AI has to think of all this stuff. So the transgenic mice, these are mice that have been genetically modified to include DNA from another source, a trans gene, thus transgender confusion. This means their genetic makeup has been altered in a lab setting. The purpose for transgenic mice is that they're crucial tools in biomedical research. They allow scientists to study gene function, understanding how specific genes impact health and disease, human disease models, creating animal models that mimic human diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, to study their progression and potential treatments, drug development, testing new drugs and therapies to assess their effectiveness and safety. Creation. Transgenic mice are created by injecting foreign DNA into a fertilized mouse egg, which then integrates into the mouse's genome. And then it has a transgender mice. Misinformation. The term transgender mice has been used in some discussion, often in the context of recent claims about federally funded research. It's that waste, fraud, and abuse. The transgender mice. They spend millions of dollars making all these little mice that have what? The gender dysphoria. OMG. Too funny. But they go off the rails. Like, can nobody tell Donnie that he misunderstood? Because he won't shut up about those damn transgender mice. He just won't stop. Like, you send your little mouse off to school and they're one gender, and then the teacher and the school, they change their gender, and then they come home. You send Timmy off to school and he comes home a girl. I hate it when that happens. Happened to my friend Elon. OMG. Okay. Enough with the funny business. He said all males are in love with their moms and girls in love with their dads. He's a pig. That's so gross. Freud was probably all that too. Transgenic mice. I can't believe people can't read and discern what is true and made up. Well, and that nobody will correct the president when he's going off sounding like such a moron. Like, why can't they just take him aside and tell him that he got it wrong? But he'd probably like not take it well and kill the messenger with the bad news, right? I have a feeling that nobody can talk to him about anything like that. When he should want that, like the whole thing with the fact checking during the debates. He's like, how come you're not fact checking her? You're just fact checking me. It's like, well, she's not talking out of her rear end. If she did, we'd fact check her. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap up. There was one more thing I wanted to say. And another thing. And just one more thing. That's like from Columbo. I love that show, Columbo. About Freud being repressed homosexual, Donnie being repressed homosexual. And Freud had his theory, this is what I wanted to say, about all people being born bisexual and then were socialized to be heterosexual. But that was his theory, that everybody is born bisexual. So again, I think he was just projecting, like maybe he was just uncomfortable saying I'm bisexual. So I don't know. Anyway, love and light, girlfriend. Have a lovely rest of your shift. Thanks so much for being here. I'm glad we had the connection, and we need to drink our water and eat our veggies, right? Take care of ourselves. And thanks for asking about my health condition. I feel a lot better today than I have felt in like a week. It was about a week ago when it hit me. I can look at my videos because it was like the last 2 or 3 yoga videos that I did. I was feeling horrible. Like I was just like, why am I even doing this? And how am I going to get through this without vomiting or something? But then I just kind of took it easier when I did those yin practices. So peace out, girlfriend. Love and light. Good night. Have a good rest. Hope you feel better soon. And you have a very good shift. See you soon. Tomorrow, maybe, hopefully. And stream. All right. Thanks again, Annabise, and everyone else on the replay crew, and the other person who's quiet.